So let's get really big picture here and try and find an optimistic future, because a lot of people are a little upset that things seem to be going to hell pretty quickly and there really isn't any way out of it. That's my impression. Apparently some people think everything is just fine, but they may not have noticed like things that aren't right around them in their little bubble. So let's think about this bizarre opportunity we have right now that we've never had before, or we only had recently. Like when the internet first started becoming popular, I thought, oh, there'll be a great global awakening in consciousness, and I was probably doing acid or something at the time. And everybody's going to get to know each other. We'll see that our cultural differences are not useful. We'll use resources better, which in many ways we have. And unfortunately also use those resources to destroy more and more of our environment and make ourselves sicker while we seem healthier, but we're not. And we've also built up massive power structures for greater oppression than ever before. Yes, I realize that overall warfare has gone down, or has it? But more and more people are also enslaved. So it's confusing. But let's get back to the apparently optimistic opportunities we have. So even though the internet has turned out to be this colossal bunch of dumb fuckery, where people share horrible things anonymously, where the platforms we use to communicate on exist to serve as shareholders and sell your attention and divide people, there's been a total failure of their internet. Almost. Perhaps Wikipedia is somewhat good. Of course, you can criticize that as well, but as far as things go, it's pretty goddamn great. And at least by my standards. So, we still have in front of us this ability to understand who we are far beyond what was imaginable 100 years ago. 100 years ago, what did you have? You had one-to-many communications. So if you wanted to communicate something, you didn't get to. That luxury was only reserved for people who were part of power structures. Even the public airwaves were used only by few people to broadcast to many, as opposed to like everyone being able to have a CB radio, citizens band radio, which really the entire electromagnetic spectrum should be available to the public. It's public airwaves. I mean, I got lots of thoughts about that. But anyway, we have not found that global freedom has flourished, that we somehow have awakened to a consciousness of Gaia and protecting of the planet, that we've realized that we need to protect all people's freedom, and not that we're all one. We are not all one. That's a dumb thing to say. In fact, the reason people like to say things like that is because they specifically are not true, obviously. But whatever, nice sentiment, I suppose. But we still have this opportunity then to, instead of just growing up in the little culture that we grew up in, and having the bigotry and being afraid of the cannibals over the hills, who don't exist usually. There's an anthropology problem where you go to a tribe and then they say, oh yeah, there's cannibals over the hills, those people are bad. And then the anthropologists all dutifully write this down. Pretty soon you got lots of cannibals that exist that don't exist. So we could, I like an anthropological point of view. I'd like to look at cross-cultural anthropology. Fuck, if I get people here again, I'd like to have anthropologists evaluating various metrics upon which we can measure what this thing is. I actually met some anthropologists at Burning Man once. I thought, what a great place for anthropologists to be. It's a culturally very exciting space. And we don't just have to go and study some remote tribe somewhere. We can study anthropology in action. We can learn from that. We can evaluate every culture from every place around the world all through time, and then we can assemble not just one, but a variety of cultures that we wish to live in voluntarily. not to have be imposed upon us, but to impose them upon ourselves. And this gets really confusing for people. Absolutely confusing. I don't know how to break through their heads or yours, but it isn't that as we define other cultural options for, social contracts we can make, that means we have to be oppressed by them. We oppress ourselves by choosing the structure we want to live in, because we don't get to live without a structure. You don't want that. You want rules about how to treat your children. You want rules about how to treat you. You want to not have your food be poisoned. I hope you care about other people and, that you have rules against doing things that would cause your group to go murder, rape, and torture other groups. I hope you control your own government, and it's actually a government of the people, as opposed to by the oligarchs and plutocracy. I mean, that's tough shit we're talking about. But we can talk about frivolous stuff, it's not frivolous, but less extreme, like, how do we deal with music? How do we recapture music to be part of our culture, where we own the songs we sing, as opposed to them all being copyright owned by somebody else? So you can't even put them in a video and then publish the video. Fuck that shit. We can just make decisions that the songs we sing are all ones that have no copyright. And that in our group, we produce songs that we all get to sing. And who knows, maybe there's lots of hybrid options on levels of freedom and whether we use existing societal structures or not. You could make a rule, for example, this is one of thousands of examples. This is why my fucking head's always trying to explode. There's just too many options, but you could easily say, okay, within our group, we are going to create music, and anyone in our group, however you define that group, it could be 12 people or it could be 12,000, whatever, could be 1 million. Anybody within our group can create that music, can publish it, record it, and even profit off of it, selling it to people outside the group, and you're still using the existing structure. I don't like it personally. I'd rather just give it away, like to the whole world. I mean, that's our real enrichment opportunities, are to give all information away to the entire world. Because information doesn't cost to copy. There's no manufacturing cost. And so we can ruin entire industries, just make them go away as a commercial entity, simply by having enough people giving enough away. And we can still have lots of work to do. It's not like we're going to run out of work, especially as the agricultural system collapses. We have infinite work in creating things with our hands and moving atoms in growing plants and stuff like that. Like, people are like, AI is going to replace all the work. And it's like, I don't know. I live in a kind of rural place where most people make their money with their hands and sweat. And I've talked to them about this, and it's like, guess what? Their jobs aren't going anywhere. Because they have real fucking jobs. They're not working in advertising. And software is a real job, by the way, and that will be affected by AI. I'm not trying to gloss over this shit at all. Anyway, so back to I'm just trying to give you examples as parts of this bigger picture that we actually have the opportunity. Once again, I'm yelling into the fucking camera. God, that's annoying. I tire myself out. I can't even breathe. Fucking relax. I'm a seriously fucked up dude. I need like a cute chick in my life to walk around and just make me feel comfortable. And you might think that's really sexist, but I'm genetically designed for some shit, and so are you. And one of the things I think I'm genetically designed for is to think the world is better if there's a pretty face and related parts in it. Okay. Let us relax. So, from an academic perspective, it would be really cool to say, okay, well, if we're going to have cultural design, relax, motherfucker. I mean, is it hard to listen to me when I get all hyped up like this? Some people probably like it, but I don't like being this way. So if we were to break down, with like from an anthropological point of view, break down all aspects of culture, big fucking outline, which apparently I've been using the word ontology incorrectly, but big outline of every aspect and sub-aspect of how all cultural things can work all through the world. How we relate to every type of object in the world. How we use, don't use it, or misuse it. Okay, what am I doing? I'm trying to open the gate. That's right. I got to open this gate for this guy. And this gate is 700 meters away from where I live. Everything's designed wrong. Anyway, so we could then get into cultural design of how we do everything. How do we lay out cities? How do we build buildings? How do we use water? How do we do agriculture? I mean, those are big topics, but down into the minutia. What shape should a doorknob be in which case? Because that's not even clear. How tall should stairways be? I walked down a stairway in town the other day where it was built hundreds of years ago, probably. And it's so, the stairs are so wide and deep that because I have some leg damage, it's hard for me to walk on it, particularly down. And so we have to then choose. My little dog is making something between excited and distressed noises. Hey! So this opportunity remains, and now I realize that's too big a thing for you to deal with on a personal level, and it is for me as well, although I'm in a great space to try and think about things in a somewhat expansive way. I have space to build, although I can't do it alone. So in your life, you live in a cauldron of anthropology. You live in a cauldron of culture. You live in a cauldron of opportunities. You live in a cauldron of control. Things controlling you. Things you don't have control over and things you do. You're a focal point for every impact you make. Sometimes I've said every twitch of the finger. Every little thing you do. What are these fuckers doing? Hey, where's the baby? Go get her. Go get her. I want to see her now. You see, they're chasing some kind of wildlife. And it either is here now or was here very recently. Like a rabbit, for example. It's not a snake. Snakes are slower. Hey! I want to see you. So anyway, you live in this storm of just sensation and everything. And some people will try and say to you, you're super powerful within that and focus on your power. And other people say you're a total victim of everything. Okay, neither one's correct. You're somewhere in the middle. It's not nature, nurture. It's all these false dichotomy bullshit things people are trying to push at you. Okay? But you are this existence within what appears to be you. Let's assume you exist. Let's assume other people exist. We're not going to go with solipsism, which is this bizarre belief that only you exist, which, how fucked up you, there you are. Good puppy. Don't do things. Do not do things. It's a new rule for the dogs. Don't do things. And so you appear to be in this just swirling forces that you have a tiny bit of control over. If you look at, the butterfly hurricane thing, right? You're a butterfly and your impact is unknown. It's very hard to tell. And even in your conversation with people, other people are in their own trip. You don't know what's going on in there. And you could say something which hurts them horribly or helps them massively in a very simple way. My videos have an impact on people, a few at least, and hopefully those impacts are good. And hopefully I can then think, well, what impact am I having? And try and have that be what we would call good. My good and your good may not be the same definition, by the way. You know, I might think that the best thing for you to do is destroy your life as it is and completely change it. And certainly people tell me all the time what a fuck up I am for doing things the way I do them. But guess what? That's me. I'll do things the way I want, and so will you. The nice thing about this interaction is we have a massive barrier between us, and I'm no actual threat to you. My words are just words from some dumbass on the internet to you. So who cares? Don't get too upset. Don't freak your shit out. Don't write nasty comments. That's never nice. So we have ultimate control and we have no control at all. We can't really say we have no control. But a lot of people, I mean, if you live in the city and you're just working to survive and you have lots of threats surrounding you and lots of people who will punish you harshly if you break out of the norm, yeah, you're kind of in a social jail, an anthropology jail. But you still got some options. Okay, don't forget to open up the gate. So I'm thinking about walking into town real briefly, get some kind of food like cheese or something. I got cheese the other day and it was really pretty good, although weird. It was weird cheese. I only sell like 2 kinds of cheese around here, neither one of which is very good. I mean, it gets hard, but luckily you don't have to figure the entire dang universe out, right? You can't, anyway. But you can start to figure out the things around you. For example, do you have a safe place to sleep? Do you have food that you think nourishes you and makes you healthy, or crap-ass food? I mean, there's people apparently who live in what they call food deserts, right? Where they don't have access to buy healthy foods for long distances. And I would even go so far as to say it's a terrible thing to live in a place where food doesn't grow. If you live in a place where your food is mostly imported from somewhere else, even if it's just seasonally, you're at risk. You're in danger, real serious danger, because those systems are going to fail. And so as we look at, especially in the industrial world, all this massive wealth, your whole perspective is skewed. You're incapable, I shouldn't say incapable, you are unlikely to have full awareness of how weak a position you're in if any of that becomes disrupted. This is why I actually like small natural disasters. No, I'm not a fan that somebody got killed or injured or that was uncomfortable. Actually, uncomfortable I like. I'm not being hard-hearted here. I'm saying these are warning shots that you're being given. And sometimes, a government will come in and bail you out or help you. Well, what happens when there is no government to help you? What happens when collapse is so widespread that you're screwed? I mean, seriously, you don't have a water system anymore. And you didn't build a composting toilet. So what, are you going to shit in a toilet that you can't flush? You're going to have to be solving problems that your society hasn't had to solve in hundreds of years. And if there's no food growing near you and you don't know how to preserve it or store it, then it's going to be mass chaos and death. Really fucked up shit. So I request, for your benefit, that you notice that and think like a survivalist now. And you'll benefit pretty quickly. Because a lot of things that you get wrapped into, that you're marketed to about, that they want you to buy their shit or do their stuff, the things you think are important to your identity, all this crap, you can throw like 80% of it out really easily. You'll lose a bunch of friends. You might lose family too. So I'm not saying to fuck yourself over too hard. But if you want to find some level of freedom, you're going to have to give up a lot of the bondage that your culture, the very attractive bondage that your society wishes to impose upon you with no safe word. Those are kinky references there for fun. And you can actually find freedom. Levels of it. Am I an example of finding freedom? Well, not really. I mean, in some sense, very much so. But I've had to do that at expense of like all the things that make life pleasant, like having other people in your life for the most part. And, I've destroyed my life pretty effectively by any normal standards. Most people would hate it, but that gives me the opportunity to then build it back very carefully and build it back with people who also want to live in somewhat similar a way as I do. In other words, we make social agreements about what's okay and isn't, and we break that shit down into absolute detail. Because the number of ways we fuck each other over, intentionally or unintentionally, is dang near infinite. But if even we got rid of like the top, a couple thousand ways we commonly fuck each other over, that would be an amazing win. Is that a mosquito? That would be annoying. It's not like I have standing water around here anywhere. Task accomplished. Do I continue to the next mission or do I return to my home? Well, I'm in the middle of talking to you, so that's a good excuse. But I could talk to you on the way home, so that doesn't count. Fuck. What time is it? 8:56, 9 o'clock. I'm going. I do have the theory that it's better to do things than not to do things. It's a really dumb theory. It's like most little quippy phrases, not platitudes. What are they called? Anecdotes? No. Like sayings. There's a cool word for that. I know in a couple other languages what it is. How come I don't know in my own language? Aphorisms. The reason I don't know that is because it's a fucking weird word. Aphorisms. I think that's the right word. Most aphorisms, of course, are totally false. So if I say like it's better to do things than not do things, well, is it better to cut your finger off? Well, actually, it could be. It could give me a lot of publicity. I could get my message out there better. Of course, I would get it to people who thought I was nuts as hell. Although I would, cut off my ring finger as a symbol of, a rejection of traditional marriage, which many people are currently in a massive trend of rejecting traditional marriage. So that's actually pretty cool. So I was trying to use cutting off my finger as an example of something not to do. Don't break your legs. I think I can safely say that's a bad idea. Yeah, I can't see an upside to that, really. Although apparently some guys who feel like they're too short get their legs broken. I shouldn't be laughing. This is horrible. They actually have their legs broken and lengthened so they get taller. Because height is such a big deal for men because it's a big deal for women. And men will do anything for women because ultimately we have a matriarchy. That's going to piss a lot of people off who are, want to make sure that they're always seen as the victim when they're actually the victimizers in many cases. Behind every great man is a great woman, and sometimes those great people are evil as fuck. Anyway, I should probably not piss off too many women. Although I don't know why not. Fuck it. Why should women be spared, having someone say something that offends them? I mean, I've heard all my life, I've heard so much shit about how horrible men are, how horrible I am. And even society is structured to just kill me. When I was 18, growing up in the country I was in, and this is true of many people around the world, I had to sign a document that said I would kill for the government. And if I didn't sign that document, then I would be excluded from the educational system. And I think it's a crime not to sign it. It's a crime not to sign on voluntarily for slavery. Why the fuck do I even have to sign it? What is this little game of consent that we're playing where supposedly I even fucking have a choice? You're going to say I must go kill innocent people in faraway lands, murder their fucking families, murder them, to protect the country and fight for freedom. Yeah, right. When has that happened in that country? Fucking military excursions over the last hundreds of years that fuck shit up. Now people complain about refugees, and it's like, gosh, maybe we shouldn't have fucked those countries up so much. Maybe some of them would have become stable, happy places. I would suggest for women in particular that they realize that it might be nice to have men around and not be unhappy and dangerous and desperate or dead. I did see a movie called Why, the Last Man. Why was the name of the guy, which I think was short for Yorick from Shakespeare. It was actually an alright movie. It's definitely passed the Bechdel test of having enough female characters, because there was only one male character, I think, in the whole movie. Maybe at the beginning there were some other people, but they all die. Pretty sure. I don't remember the movie that well now. But worth a watch. It's not a bad movie. It's, I've been watching a lot of apocalyptic movies, and I think I'm out of that phase now because I've watched all of them I could find. I mean, I watched old 70s ones that are cheesy as hell. It was pretty fun. Anyway, so back to the topic at hand. We have choices about everything we do. Like, how do we use amplified music, right? Or do we have it at all? And I've already rambled on about my thoughts on that. But yeah, inventory your life. Figure out your food, your sleep, your work, your money, your social relationships, your intimate relationships, your extended relationships, your biological family relationships, which of those you want or don't want. If you happen to be a person who's willing to leave it all and join a cult-like sounding thing with a weirdo dude somewhere, cult-like, which means there's no Kool-Aid or whatever weird shit people come up with when they think of a cult. I mean, when you think of like a relationship between two people, do you automatically assume it's just the most horrible one you can imagine? Lots of intentional communities, which you could pretty much define as cult, because there are people getting together by some standards. Other people trying to define cult as it must have a charismatic leader, must have this, and it must have that. And a lot of those attributes are very bad. What the fuck ever, okay? I don't know how to define anything. Define whatever you want. But the one I'm picturing won't have a charismatic leader, because I don't think I'm charismatic in a very positive sense. I'm like anti-charismatic. I'm helping people dislike me, which is a good idea. Keep people from fucking being followers. But I'm going to die, and so my plan is actually to create a not democratically run, but like a republic, where it has a base of a culture that's extremely well defined, easy ways for exit, difficult ways for entry, economic plans so that it is successful, culture that is designed to be successful, because you can have shittier cultures or better, and I think we can even agree on what a lot of those things are. So it doesn't all have to be controversial, really. Certainly not for the people who voluntarily agree to it. But ultimately, to the degree any decisions have to get made, which hopefully would be reduced to damn near zero because of the amount of freedom individuals have within a structure, you would have democratic control in the context that they're in. Full democracy is dangerous as shit. People will vote to oppress other people. It's like the old thing of you get two wolves and a sheep, and you create a democracy. Maybe not so safe for the sheep. Sheep and a sheep. There's no difference between plural and individual. What is it, a ram and ewe? Ew. Language is weird, especially English. So I think that might be all I got. Thinking about big cultural stuff. But imagine that, so many people have the reaction of that's impossible. You can't change culture. And I just disagree. I disagree with the pessimism of that. It's either that or you just agree that we're all just going to die. Because the way we're doing things now is going to kill the shit out of us. So unless you find a way to not just be optimistic in a pseudo-spiritual Pollyanna kind of happy way, that's a reference to a movie, Pollyanna character in a movie, or maybe it's the name of the movie, but just not dumbly optimistic. Not that she was, I actually forgot how the movie is, I just know how that word's used in normal vernacular. I guess it's not that normal if I have to describe it. God, fuck, my head's gonna explode. Oh. Okay, it's gonna be a long ass day. Got a whole bunch of stuff to do today that I'd rather not do, but I have a ride to town, and so I have to spend money for stuff to survive. But yeah, don't be so pessimistic. You say, oh no, we have to live in the shithole of a world we live in. And don't be so ignorant to say that this world is wonderful when most people are in slavery in various forms. And we're destroying the planet enough so that we're going to die on it. Things are not fucking okay. If you think they are, that sucks. Oh, what I was going to say is that if you are a person who wants to break away from, or is willing to break away from your whole friend group, your whole biological family, and go off to hang out in the woods, bringing your own resources, enthusiasm, your best self, which will hopefully be getting better all the time until you die, a real commitment to the kind of shit I talk about, then let me know. I think I have a form for it somewhere, which I don't check. I haven't checked in a couple of weeks, but I'm not in a big rush either. Make your own videos too. Introduce yourself. Don't be anonymous. I'm done talking to anonymous people. And maybe I'm working with some people on a way to help you, guide you into introducing yourself and exploring your own values, so that we can actually communicate about it, since almost no one is good at that, and it's going to take a bunch of work to create that system, and a bunch of work to even use it. I mean, this isn't easy shit, but it could be life-changing, literally life-changing. And I know a lot of people out there are desperate, unhappy, frustrated, because they do see how things are, and they do see how unfulfilled they are. And it's not that they're inherently flawed in most cases. Perhaps it is in some, I don't know. But they need to not be in fucked up environments. Good luck. Bye.